The city was alive with noise. Car horns blared, neon lights flashed, people rushed past one another with eyes glued to glowing screens. Amid this chaos, Daniel Carter sat at his desk, his head buried in his hands. He was only 28, yet his mind felt 100 years old. His thoughts never stopped. If he wasn't replaying his failures from the past, he was worrying about the future. If he wasn't regretting what he had said to someone, he was imagining what they must think of him now. Every mistake, every doubt, every fear, his mind carried them all, like an overstuffed backpack he could never put down. At work, Daniel couldn't focus. He opened a file but ended up scrolling through social media. He tried answering emails but drifted into daydreams of what could go wrong. Deadlines slipped. His boss frowned. At home, it was no better. His girlfriend had left him 6 months ago, telling him, "You're never really here, Daniel. Even when you sit beside me, your mind is somewhere else." She was right. Even as she spoke those words, Daniel was thinking about how to respond instead of listening. Now he was alone. His apartment filled with silence, though his head was louder than ever. One Friday night, after another long, anxious week, Daniel went walking aimlessly through the city. He wandered into a quieter neighborhood he hadn't explored before. Hidden between 2 old brick buildings was a small wooden sign. The Garden of Stillness, Meditation Hall. Something about those words made him stop. Stillness, a word he hadn't felt in years. Almost without deciding, he pushed open the door. Inside was a warm, dimly lit room. A handful of people sat quietly on cushions. At the front sat an older man with calm eyes, his presence like a steady flame in the dark. Daniel wanted to leave immediately. This wasn't him. He wasn't the type to sit cross-legged and breathe deeply. But before he could turn, the old man smiled. "You look tired, my friend. Come, sit." Something in the man's voice was gentle, yet commanding. Daniel found himself sitting down. The man introduced himself as Master Lee, a teacher of meditation and inner stillness. His voice was slow, deliberate, as if each word was chosen with care. Daniel blurted out, "My mind never shuts up. I can't focus, I can't sleep, I can't live." Master Lee studied him quietly, then said, "Your mind is like a cup filled to the brim. You keep pouring more into it, worries, regrets, fears, but a full cup cannot hold fresh water. If you wish for peace, you must first empty your mind." "Empty my mind?" Daniel scoffed. "That's impossible. Thoughts never stop." The old man only smiled. "That is why it is a practice. I will give you a task, simple yet powerful. If you truly wish to be free, you must do it." Daniel leaned forward. "What task?" Master Lee reached into a drawer and handed him a small, clear glass jar. Inside was a single, smooth pebble. Every time you notice yourself lost in thought, whether about the past or future, take out the pebble, hold it, and place it back. That is all. Do this for 7 days. Then return to me. Daniel blinked. "That's it? Just move a pebble around?" "Yes. Do it with full awareness. Soon the pebble will teach you more than I ever could." Daniel wanted to laugh. How could a rock solve years of overthinking? But something in Master Lee's calm gaze kept him from dismissing it. He took the jar home. That night, Daniel sat at his desk, staring at the pebble. His phone buzzed with messages, his mind filled with unfinished tasks, and before he knew it, he was spiraling into what-ifs again. Then he remembered. He picked up the pebble. It felt cool and solid in his palm. For a brief second, his mind paused. Then, like a storm breaking through, his thoughts returned. "This is dumb. It won't work. You're wasting your time." Still, he placed the pebble back, and for the first time in years, Daniel realized he had actually noticed his thoughts instead of drowning in them. That was the beginning. Daniel didn't know it yet, but the pebble would lead him into a battle with the loudest enemy of all, his own restless mind. And in that battle lay the secret to peace he had been searching for all his life. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. The glass jar sat on his nightstand, sunlight glinting off its surface. The pebble looked so ordinary, almost laughably small compared to the weight of the storm in his head. Yet he remembered Master Lee's words, "Do it with full awareness. Soon, the pebble will teach you more than I ever could." At work, Daniel tried. He sat at his desk, opened his laptop, and immediately his thoughts scattered. What if I get fired? What if I mess up again? What if everyone knows I don't belong here? His hand trembled as he reached into his pocket, pulled out the pebble, held it for a second, and then set it down on the jar. Strangely, the act slowed him down. For that brief moment, it was just him and the pebble, nothing else. But within minutes, the cycle returned. His mind leapt to his ex-girlfriend, what she might be doing, whom she might be with, and whether she was happier without him. He caught himself, sighed, and pulled the pebble out again. By lunchtime, he had already moved the pebble 27 times. Coworkers noticed him fiddling with the jar. "What's that, Daniel? Some kind of stress toy?" "Something like that," he muttered, not wanting to explain. That evening, Daniel collapsed on his couch. His phone buzzed with notifications, and soon he was scrolling through endless headlines and memes, completely lost. When he finally remembered the pebble, he felt a surge of frustration. "I can't do this. My brain won't shut up. I'm failing at even this stupid exercise." In anger, he tossed the pebble across the room. It clattered against the floor and rolled under the couch. Daniel buried his face in his hands. For years, he had devoured self-help books, watched motivational videos, written lists of goals, but nothing ever stuck. He always fell back into the same storm of overthinking. Now even this simple task felt impossible. That night, he dreamed he was drowning in an ocean of words, voices shouting, thoughts swirling, memories flashing by like lightning. He gasped for air, reaching for something to hold on to. In the distance, he saw the pebble sinking slowly into the water, glowing faintly. When he woke, he crawled under the couch and retrieved it. Something inside told him not to give up. The next day, Daniel tried a different approach. Instead of treating the pebble as punishment, he decided to see it as a reminder, like a friend tapping him on the shoulder. Each time he touched it, he whispered to himself, "Come back, right here, right now." At first, nothing seemed different. His thoughts still came, his worries still circled, but gradually he noticed tiny pauses, like brief cracks of light in a dark room. One afternoon, while waiting in line for coffee, his mind drifted as usual. What if she never loved me? What if I waste my whole life? But then he touched the pebble. He looked around. The rich smell of roasted beans filled the air. The barista was laughing with a customer. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming his face. For just a heartbeat, Daniel was not lost in yesterday or tomorrow. He was here. The moment passed quickly, but it was real, and it gave him hope. By the third day, Daniel was exhausted from moving the pebble dozens, sometimes hundreds of times. But in that exhaustion, he noticed something. His thoughts weren't new. They repeated, over and over, like a scratched record. "You're not enough. You'll fail again. People don't respect you." He realized with shock he had been listening to the same tired chorus for years, as if it were truth. The pebble revealed the soundtrack of his mind, and how boring it really was. That evening, Daniel returned to the meditation hall. Master Lee was sweeping the floor.
He looked up with a gentle smile. "You look heavier and lighter at the same time," the master said. Daniel laughed bitterly. "Heavier because I can't stop noticing how insane my mind is. Lighter because I guess at least now I know it." Master Lee nodded. "Awareness is the first freedom. Before you were drowning without knowing you were drowning. Now you are learning to swim." "But I keep failing," Daniel said. "I touch the pebble 100 times a day. Shouldn't I be improving faster?" "Tell me," Master Lee said, leaning on his broom. "When a child learns to walk, do they fall once and give up forever?" Daniel shook his head. "Then why do you demand perfection from yourself so soon? Every time you touch the pebble, you are standing up again. That is progress." Daniel felt something loosen in his chest. For once, he didn't feel judged for failing. On the 5th night, something unexpected happened. Daniel sat at his desk, overwhelmed with work, his head buzzing like a hive. He reached for the pebble, but instead of rushing through it, he stopped. He closed his eyes, held it gently, and just breathed. One breath in, one breath out. The noise in his head softened, not gone, but quieter. He felt his heartbeat, steady and calm, something he hadn't noticed in years. Tears filled his eyes, not from sadness, but from the strange peace of realizing that beneath all his thoughts, there was a quiet place. It had always been there. By the end of the week, Daniel returned to Master Lee. He set the jar on the table. He said, "I think I'm starting to get it. The pebble doesn't stop my thoughts, but it reminds me they're not me. I can step back. I can choose." Master Lee's eyes twinkled. "And that, my friend, is the beginning of an empty mind. Not a mind without thoughts, but a mind not enslaved by them." Daniel nodded slowly. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope that peace wasn't just a dream. But Master Lee wasn't finished. He said, "Now you are ready for the next task, and this one will test you more deeply than the pebble." Daniel sat on the meditation hall's wooden floor, waiting for Master Lee's instructions. The jar with the pebble sat between them, almost like a quiet witness to his week-long battle. The master folded his hands behind his back. "You have learned to notice the storm of thoughts. That is good. But awareness is only the beginning. To truly empty your mind, you must learn to rest in the present moment. Not for seconds, but for hours." Daniel frowned. "Hours? I can barely manage a few breaths before my brain takes over again." Master Lee smiled softly. "Then you must stretch your limits." He handed Daniel a folded piece of cloth. "Tomorrow, you will spend 12 hours in silence. No phone, no books, no talking, no distractions. Just sit in the garden and be. Listen, watch, breathe. Let thoughts come and go, but you must not escape into noise." Daniel's stomach dropped. 12 hours? That sounds like torture. "Exactly," Master Lee said with a twinkle in his eye. "Your mind fears silence, because in silence you face yourself. Only when you stop running from your own company will you know peace." Daniel wanted to argue, but something in the master's calm certainty made him swallow his protests. He nodded. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the garden. It was a simple courtyard behind the hall, with bamboo trees swaying gently and a small pond reflecting the sky. Master Lee collected Daniel's phone, watch, and wallet. "Time will feel endless without distractions," he said. "But remember, you are not here to endure it. You are here to meet yourself." Daniel sat on a stone bench. At first, it felt easy. The morning was beautiful, sunlight dappling through leaves, birds chirping. He breathed deeply,
telling himself he could handle this. But within minutes, his mind began its assault. This is pointless. You're wasting time. What about work? What about bills? What if people need you? What if you go crazy just sitting here? He shifted uncomfortably. His legs itched, his back hurt. He wanted to check his phone, to distract himself, to do something, anything. Instead, he clenched his fists and whispered, "Pebble. Just the pebble." Even without it physically in hand, he imagined the smooth stone grounding him.
By the third hour, Daniel was restless beyond belief. He had replayed every regret, every mistake, his breakup, his failures, his shame. They all swarmed him like angry bees. He stood up, pacing the garden. His mind screamed, "Leave, this is stupid. Go home, no one will know." But then he remembered Master Lee's words, "Your mind fears silence." Wasn't this the very thing he needed to face? He sat back down, trembling, and closed his eyes. Around the fifth hour, something unexpected happened. After waves of anger, boredom, and self-loathing, Daniel suddenly noticed the sound of water trickling from the pond's fountain. He had heard it all day, but this time he really heard it. The gentle rhythm, the way each droplet merged with the pool. Then he noticed the wind brushing against his skin, the warmth of the sun shifting as clouds passed by, the texture of the stone bench under his palms. For the first time, he wasn't lost in past or future. He was simply here. A deep sigh escaped his lips. It didn't last long. Soon, thoughts crashed back in. But now Daniel knew there was another place beneath the noise. A quiet place, waiting. By the eighth hour, he was exhausted. His mind had dragged him through every corner of fear. What if I die alone? What if I'm never successful? What if life is meaningless? Each question cut deep. Tears slid down his face as he sat, head bowed. But he didn't run. He let the thoughts scream, and he stayed. He stayed with his breath, with the garden, with the moment. And slowly, the storm began to lose its grip. When the 12th hour finally ended, Daniel could hardly believe it. His body ached, his eyes were red from crying, but his chest felt strangely light. Master Lee appeared, carrying Daniel's phone and belongings. "So," he asked gently, "what did you find?" Daniel's voice cracked. "I found me. I didn't like everything I saw, but there was peace underneath it all, like a river, always flowing even when I'm lost in the storm above." Master Lee nodded. "Exactly. Emptying your mind does not mean destroying thoughts. It means letting them pass, like clouds across the sky. The sky never fights the clouds. It simply remains open." Daniel wiped his face, overwhelmed. "I thought I would lose my mind in silence. Instead, I think I found it." As he left that night, Daniel walked through the city streets differently. The noise of cars and chatter was still there, but now he noticed his footsteps against the pavement, the cool night air filling his lungs, the glow of streetlights shimmering on wet asphalt. For the first time in years, he wasn't just rushing somewhere. He was simply walking, simply living. He realized this was the real secret. Peace wasn't something to be earned in the future. It was available now, in every breath, if only he chose to see it. The days after Daniel's 12-hour silence were unlike anything he had experienced before. He returned to work, expecting the same chaos, emails piling up, coworkers rushing, phones buzzing nonstop. But something had shifted. When his inbox flooded, instead of spiraling into panic, Daniel paused. He breathed.
He reminded himself one email, one task, one moment. When his boss scolded him for a late report, Daniel felt the sting of shame rising. But then he noticed it. He noticed it. Instead of being swallowed, he held the feeling like he once held the pebble, acknowledged it, and let it go. And to his surprise, the moment passed more quickly than ever before. One evening, Daniel visited his parents. Normally, family dinners left him tense, lost in judgments and defensiveness. But this time, he listened, truly listened. His mother spoke about her garden, and instead of drifting off, Daniel pictured her hands in the soil, the pride in her voice. His father shared an old story, and Daniel didn't interrupt, didn't rehearse a reply. He just smiled at the way his father's eyes lit up. For the first time, his parents noticed. His mother touched his arm and said softly, "You seem different, Daniel. Calmer, happier." He didn't know how to explain it, so he just said, "I'm learning to be here."
But not every day was peaceful. The storm returned often. Some mornings, Daniel woke up with the old familiar weight of anxiety pressing on his chest. On those days, he felt like a failure, like all the progress was gone. But then he remembered Master Lee's words. The sky never fights the clouds. So, he didn't fight. He sat quietly, held the pebble, breathed, and waited. Slowly, the storm always moved on. That was the difference now. Before, he believed the storm was forever. Now he knew it always passed. Weeks later, Daniel returned to the meditation hall. The garden was quiet, bathed in late afternoon sunlight. Master Lee was watering a small bonsai tree, his hands steady and gentle. Daniel bowed slightly. "Master, I don't know how to thank you. I feel like I've been given my life back." Master Lee set down the watering can. "Tell me, what have you learned?" Daniel thought carefully. "That I don't need to control every thought. I don't need to fight my fears. I just need to notice and return, again and again. Peace isn't in the future, it's in the present." The master's eyes crinkled with approval. "Yes, you have emptied your mind, not of thoughts, but of attachment. You are no longer their prisoner." Daniel asked quietly, "But what if I forget? What if I fall back into my old ways?" The master chuckled. "Then you will remember again. The pebble will remind you. The silence will remind you. Life itself will remind you. Falling is not failure. It is part of walking." Daniel felt tears prick his eyes again. This time, they were tears of gratitude. That night, Daniel walked home through the city. The same noise. But it no longer felt suffocating. He noticed small details he had never seen before. The rhythm of footsteps, the way neon lights reflected in rain puddles, the laughter of strangers spilling from a cafe. For the first time, he wasn't just surviving life, he was living it. He reached into his pocket, feeling the smooth pebble. It was still there, but he knew now that the real pebble, the real anchor, was inside him. The ability to pause, to breathe, to return to the present. Months later, Daniel's life had transformed. He wasn't suddenly rich or wildly successful, but he was steady, focused, at peace. At work, his performance improved, not because he forced himself, but because he worked with presence, one task at a time. His boss noticed, and opportunities opened. In relationships, he listened more, spoke with more kindness, and people felt the difference. But most importantly, Daniel noticed himself.
He noticed life. He could sit by a window with a cup of tea and feel complete. He could walk in the park and smile at the wind in the trees. He could breathe, simply breathe, and know that in this moment, nothing was missing. One Sunday, Daniel returned to Master Lee, holding the jar with the pebble. "I think," Daniel said, smiling, "I don't need this anymore." Master Lee looked at him, then at the pebble, and nodded. "Keep it anyway," he said softly, "not as a tool, but as a reminder that peace was never in the pebble, it was always in you." Daniel placed the jar on the shelf, bowing with gratitude. As he left the hall, he felt lighter than ever. The city bustled as always, but his mind was not crowded anymore. He walked with quiet confidence, each step a meditation, each breath a gift. And in that moment, Daniel understood the truth he had been chasing his whole life. Peace is not found in escaping the world. Peace is found in emptying the mind, so you can fully embrace the world, one present moment at a time.